Okay, so here we are doing a rake wall. This is the rear wall of the house. Just about ready to sheet it. I got a few more window sills here, like that. The sills and then the cripples. This is one, two, three windows. That's for the master bedroom, and then the wall of that separates the master bedroom will be here, and then this is the great room or the living room. And so there's a window, a door, a full light door, full glass, and then a window and a window. And all these windows in the back are 3050, so they're 3 feet wide and 5 feet tall. And the master bedroom, and then the living room, kitchen, open area will have vaulted ceilings that'll vault all the way up to the peak, which is around 13 feet. So they'll vault from 8 feet to 13 feet. These rake walls, these are a little tricky because they're all windows. In case you're wondering about this is the form wood, the wood that I use for the concrete forms. I reuse all of it. It's all right here. I kept most of it the full 16 feet. I think I had about 17 or 18 pieces that I didn't have to cut for any reason. And those are going to become roof rafters in the open area here. So I'm using 2x8, 16 inches in center. And then, I had to cut a few of them, which I used them for headers. And then there'll be other places I'll use them in the house. Basically, they don't go to waste. We did the foundation 3-4 months ago. That's why they're all gray, because they've been sitting out in the weather for 3 or 4 months. What I do is I buy the lot, get the plans turned into the POA, get the foundation, get everything ready, and then it just kind of sits there. And then when I get around to construction, then it's all ready to go. Foundation's there. So anyway, so doing these rake walls, this is a 412 pitch. So it's like it's about an 18.5 degree angle. So what I do is I measure the height of the wall from the floor all the way to the top of the top plate. So it's 97.5 inches total height to the top of the double top plate. This will also have a double top plate. It doesn't really need one. I've already got it cutted. This one is here and the other one's over there just waiting to. So it doesn't really need to have a double top plate. It's not really holding any weight. It's a rake wall, but I just do a double top plate because I don't know. It's just the way I do it. It's not necessary. But anyway, So then, in order to get the measurement for the first one, what I do is I snap. I snap lines. Oh, there, go all the way up on the floor, and this line is the top of the cap plate, the second double top plate. So it's the total height. So in order to get those measurements, I need to be at 97.5 here, because this second plate here will actually end up, being the same height as that one. And then what I do is, there's calculators online. I know they have construction calculators. I don't have one anymore. They can calculate all these you can calculate all your stud lengths and all that. But anyway, so to calculate from the 97.5 to what this peak will be here is you go, okay, so half the house is 30 feet wide, so half the distance across is 15 feet. But because you're starting the measurement from here, not from here, you have to subtract 3.5 inches. So from here to the center is 14. Would be 14 feet 8.5 inches. So if you go to one of those online calculators and you give them 14 feet 8.5 inches, 412 pitch, it'll tell you how much higher it has to come up from your starting point, right? So if your starting point is 97.5 inches, it'll add the additional. I don't remember what it is. It's like, I think it's 4 feet 10 and 13/16. Because if it was 15 feet, it would be 60 inches, because 15 times 4, it's 412 pitch, would be you would just add 60 inches onto the 97.5, and that would be the top point. But because it's a little bit less, it's 14 foot 8.5 inches. It's actually 4 foot 10, and I think it's 4 foot 10 and almost 4 foot 11. It's just a little bit less. Anyway, so I get that point. I snap those lines, and then this plate here, I just put a couple of temporary toenails in to keep it from moving around. It keeps it straight with the line. You know, it's 1.5 inches down because I'm going to be adding this other one on top of it. But anyway, and then I do my layout here. This is all nailed in place, ready to go, ready to stand up. It's all toenailed in on the line that I snapped. And then it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but the way I do it is I just measure from this wall. So I've got this here, and I've got the end one cut, and I've got the bottom plate, and it's toenailed in place and getting ready for the stand up. And then that one I got my line snapped. So with these two in place, so all I do is I just measure over, 16 inches, make a mark. I measure off of this wall here. I measure off the OSB here, just like when I did the layout down here, my 16-inch centers. You measure from the OSB, because when you put your plywood on the outside, your sheeting, it's going to start from this corner. It's not going to start from here, because you got to cover this. You got to cover, this wall here. So anyway, so you pull your measurement off of here every 16 inches, and then whatever it says on your plans where your doors and windows are. It's all pulled off. This is basically the outside of the house. Here's like the OSB. This is the outside of the house, right? So I just pull those measurements. I just measure 16, 32, just off I just push the tape against the plywood and measure, and that's how I get these. And then I just measure up. So I just take the tape measure, and I measure from the bottom plate with my tape measure, either to the long point, short point, however you want to do it. Put the angle on, and see, they all end up. See, that's T for trimmer, and then if it's a full length stud, I just put a slash. Some people do an X, but when I do two movements, you just put a slash. C for cripple. Here, so see, and I just these are the lines I pulled, and then I just measure. It's kind of hard to, if you had a wall that didn't have all these openings. There's, you can go online and get, if you don't have the calculator, there's a formula, and you just do 16-inch centers. It'll tell you, okay, this one is 100 inches, the next one is 102 inches, or, whatever it is, it'll just tell you how much to add for each one. But because you've got all these interruptions, I guess I could have done it for here, but it's just as fast for me to measure from here to here, long point, short point. I usually measure short point, and then put the angle on it, which is like 18.5 degrees. So anyway, that's how I do it. I mean, like I said, there's other ways of doing it. It works just fine. It's just as fast. I mean, I don't know that one way's any faster. Like this wall is so cut up, so many openings. I mean, it's basically all openings. There's a little bit of wall here where the two rooms are divided, and then there's a little bit of wall here and a little bit down on that end, and then everything else is openings. So anyway, so that's one way you can do it. You just got to kind of figure it out as you go. As far as these, I don't need. I did a continuous double 2x8 because I want to give the wall some, so it's not as this is tall here. This is 12 feet tall or whatever. So I don't want it to be springy. So this will add some stiffness. I mean, I don't need it because there's not that much weight pushing down, and these openings are only 3 feet wide, and then they're supported. So I do that to add some stiffness to the wall. Same with this one, and then here, because these are so long. I mean, they're basically 13 feet. I doubled up the king studs here. Normally I do a single, but it adds a little stiffness. And I did the same thing with that one. But then the ones down there, the ones down on the end, they're only a little over 8 feet, so I just left them as singles. Let's see, and then I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of covered. You can kind of see what I did. I mean, if you're new at this, rake walls are always. I mean, I've been working on this all day. Well, okay, I didn't get here till noon, and now it's like 6. So I've been working on it for 6 hours. I don't do it every day. It's not like when I was a framer and well, of course, I did a lot of commercial. There wasn't that many rake walls anyway in commercial, but um, it's time consuming. I mean, if you want it to come out right, it's time consuming. You got to kind of think about it. You got to kind of think it through. But that's basically how I do at least how I lay out. I just snap the lines on the floor and follow those. It makes it a little bit easier. I think that's it. Yeah, so tomorrow I'll get it sheeted, and oh, what a nice sunset. Tomorrow I'll get it sheeted and papered, and then I'll get it stood up, and then I'll start on this one, and then I'll clean the deck and blow it off with a blower, get all the sawdust and everything off, get everything off it, blow it off clean, and then I'll snap all the lines for the interior walls. I mean, you could usually snap all the lines first, but I'm just working by myself, and I just wanted to get the walls up, just to get something done. So now I'll just come back and I'll snap all the lines for all the interior walls and get them all done. I use waterproof. Where is it? I use the waterproof chalk. It's a black chalk. You pay a little more for. Oh, here it is. This stuff, and I'm not promoting any brand. I mean, this is the one I've used. I don't remember what I used to use, when I was a framer years ago, but. When I was framing in Oregon, you kind of have to because it rains about 9 months out of the year. But black line chalk, it's expensive. This little thing's like $10. But it lasts. I mean, I can do 3 houses with it or whatever. So anyway, it's waterproof chalk. It's already rained on it a couple times, and as you can see, it's like the day I put it down. Anyway, yeah. So then I'll get all the walls chalked out, and then the interior walls are pretty easy. And this house isn't real cut up, so there's not it's small, so there's not a lot of walls. Another thing, when you do your braces, I see a lot of guys brace by putting the 2x4s this way, and then they put a block on the floor, and that's I don't know why guys do it that way. I mean, I've seen experienced framers do it that way. What I do is I just put the 2x4s flat, whether they're this length or longer, and then I just put like 4 nails in here into the stud. But when I put them in, I make sure I don't put them down at an angle. I put them kind of this way, so they go through into the stud this way. And then I do the same thing down here at the bottom. So they go, they go straight down. So they kind of go through this corner. They don't go at an angle because those aren't going to hold. So these go straight down. I put 4 or 5. And you think this could pull out, but you try to pull, even when you use a hammer, when you go to pull it out, it's hard to get them out, So it's a real good way to do it. It saves you having to put a block. I mean, it's easy. You just slap the 2x4. It just sits there. You pop the nails in here, pop the nails in there, and it works fine. It's faster. It saves you a step. You don't have a block to take out. And I just use them over and over again. I just pull the nails out and use them over and over again. So that's a little framing trick. I mean, I do it on the ends, obviously, because I have to. I put them like this. But then I have them nailed into the side of the foundation. You'll see, too, when I do plumb and line, when I straighten the walls, I put the 2x4s like this, except they run to the top plate. I usually use like 16-footers. And they'll run down there, and I'll nail them the same way, and then I shove a board underneath, which puts a bow in the 16-foot 2x4, and that bow will pull your wall in. So you just keep shoving that board this way, right? So you just keep shoving it, and it keeps bowing up, and as it bows up, it pulls the wall in. If you want the wall to go out, you do the opposite. You don't nail the top, you just nail the bottom. And then you push down on it, and as the 2x4 slides down the wall just a little bit, it pushes the wall out, and then you get it level. I'm by myself, but if you're with somebody, it's easier because you can have them holding the level and go, okay, is it level? And they tell you when it's level, and then you just nail it. Anyway, I'll show you that when I do the plumbing line. Okay, so I'm gonna get these filled out, maybe get finish these windows, get a couple sheets on here, and then and then it'll be dark, and then I'll go home. So, all right, back to work.